interesting.
I
What
picked
are they in the
one.
back?
Yeah, they're on the thing.
It's kind of weird not getting it.
I never memorized. I know everything that's on there.
Off the budget, it was on. So now they forgot to put it on, so now they got to ask. Yes. Finally got ours. Well,
That's a new, it's a new expenditure.
but we got it in there last year, and it just didn't.
Sorry to butt in. Sorry to butt in, but I'm the one that made the budget, so yeah. How did you guys check it out? We were using it.
I know, but we were waiting for that contract to come through.
They made that decision last minute not to include next year budget,
So now we have to bring it up again, and people are like,
but well, all we're gonna have to do is designate those $50,000 forward for the same purpose. So that's all we do.
hey, how's it going?
Good, sir. How you?
Yeah, I was just curious, because I was the one that put this together, and I'm like, wow, we let it drop out. And Bill said, well, we thought maybe we could go through it.
I guess for next year's budget, we can end up using the CHP, we'll add it back into the budget.
I'm not sure. It's got just a source, yeah, it's a source that is already done.
This is, people are gonna yell about,
You never want to have to go over through something again.
no,
When you guys through.
and then this is people are gonna yell about, wins the money for the construction bill. You know how much
Yeah, I think you're right. Well,
Put stuff in there.
At this point, it's either come out of the reserve and make it as a payable back to the reserve, or designate carry forward for
how much carryover is it?
right now, we're looking at 250, 200,000, but if you have that as previous year. Yeah, some of it, I would say around 200.
So then you're still gonna have to find 157.
Yep.
Yeah, but you know what? Anything you do, I would say at least 5%. I built enough houses. You know, all their food, all their supervision, this instructors going, permits, you know. It's in line. It's fine. They don't, the naysayers won't know that. The first one.
Well, we started this 5 years ago.
The engineering ballpark was $6 million for the construction of the so-called Taj Mahal. Yeah, almost 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. I think the current plan is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It'll do it. But the other one was fine too. It's just that newspaper one. My son lives in the blue groups. And they have the same exact stuff, and it's the same thing.
Well, this is like,
Yeah.
this is
They have the views. Oh, there are HOAs, but the city has control over things like views. So if somebody doesn't turn their trees, oh my God.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We did. This is weird.
Agenda. Pine Mountain Club Property Owners Association Board of Directors regular meeting Saturday, July 15th, 2023, 10 a.m. Control Room. Members in good standing are free to speak on a specific item on today's agenda when the chairman calls for discussion. If there is an item that is not on the agenda that an individual wishes to present, the appropriate time for the presentation is during the member forum. This meeting is being recorded to allow members in good standing who could not attend to view the meeting at a later date and to aid in the recording secretary in preparing the minutes of the meeting. Members will observe rules of decorum. The speaker will address the chairman and speak only to the matter under consideration. Members will refrain from being argumentative and making derogatory or personal remarks or gestures. Members will turn off or silence all cell phones or communication devices while attending the meeting. Call to order. Cam Acosta. Here. Richard Ballard. Here. Mark Bailey.
Yeah.
Jennifer Emmett. Here. Philip Gabriel. Here. Carolyn Gilbert present. Brad Hudson. Here. Bill Lewis too. Ellen McCallum. Here. Adopt the agenda. Resolved that the agenda of the Board of Directors meeting of July 15th, 2023 be adopted.
That's the motion. Is there a second? Second by Richard. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And let me just, again, for those of you who are watching online, how votes are recorded. Again, if it's unanimous, I'll just say motion carried. If there's a split in the votes, I'll let you know who voted how.
Consent agenda. Consent agenda opportunity for public comment. All items listed under 3 consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the board wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone in the audience, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered in this sequence with an opportunity for any member to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. 1. Dispense with the reading of and approve the draft minutes of the Board of Directors regular board meeting June 17th, 2023. Committee applications forwarded for concurred by the board, Budget and Finance, Leslie Brandon, Ewald Wabinski, Clifford Penix Senior, Communications, Marcy Annick, Deborah Manugian, Emergency Preparedness, Deanne Johnston, sorry if I messed it up, guys, Susan Maple, Patricia Minter, Suzanne Vanderford, Kathleen Weinstein, Governing Docs, John Cantley, Patrice Stimson, Grace Wallman, Greens and Browns, Clifford Penix Senior, Planning, Deborah Ballard, Candace Bennett, Lisa Chapman, Nicole Gates, Ela Lipinska, and Clifford Penix Senior.
Okay, that's the motion. Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Discussion?
Yeah, is there a limit to how many committees can be on at one time?
There is not.
And there's someone who in particular is disruptive or talk at for a particular committee? Can we talk about that person separately? Later or no?
Well, when somebody's on a committee,
Well, if they haven't been approved yet.
well, yeah, you could have pulled it, and you should have pulled it before we got into the agenda. So, people, there's a procedure in place for removing people that are disruptive.
I think that would be, maybe I remember discipline. Maybe not a subject for open meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
And generally, it's been done before.
And that's why
we talk about pulling before we proceed into that agenda.
But there are
procedures to address this.
Right.
Any other discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
Anyone
opposed?
opposed? Motion carries.
Chair's report.
And I was
And I was
going
going
to
to
ask
ask
George
George
if you've seen
seen
some
some of the comments about echoes on YouTube, and he apparently addressed them, so hopefully those who are having a hard time hearing can hear now and not have the feedback.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to start with
an update about the inquiry into our status as a 501c7 organization that I mentioned at last month's board meeting.
As you
As you may recall, we were accused of being out of tax exempt compliance for the past 19 years, despite a determination letter issued in 1977 by the IRS, which recognized our organization as exempt from federal income tax under Section 501c7, and a clean audit conducted by the IRS in 2017. We still have not received a response from the IRS, but since reaching out to the IRS, we have found 2 letters issued by them to us in 2003 and 2011, both reconfirming our status as a 501c7, and both letters referred to the determination letter issued in 1977. It does not appear we are out of compliance, and we will continue to operate and file our taxes as a 501c7 unless we are notified otherwise by the IRS. We have been working in cooperation with the Milford Mutual Water Company to activate and subsequently test 3 fire evacuation sirens in PMC. You may have heard one of those sirens just recently during a brief test. 2 of the sirens are located on water tanks, and a third one, which many years ago was mounted on top of the old fire station, has been retrieved from the current fire station and will be installed on the water company building at the transfer site. One of the sirens has been switched over to a remote activation system that allows it to be activated remotely, hence the term remote activation, by phone or via an office computer instead of manually on site. That is the siren that was recently tested in the Zermatt area. As soon as the other 2 sirens have been switched over to a remote system, we will coordinate a test of all 3 sirens to determine their effective range, and we will be reaching out to residents with enough advance notice to assist us in evaluating the range of those sirens. Unfortunately, we will not be able to make the transitions of the remaining 2 sirens and test them until the end of August or the 1st of September, based on the availability of that person who is doing the transition. After we test the sirens, we will then meet with the fire department to establish an activation protocol. We will also evaluate the coverage of the sirens to determine if additional sirens may be needed. I want to thank the water company for helping us with this important endeavor to help keep our members and residents safe. I hope you're enjoying your summer and spending quality time with your friends and family. Be safe, stay healthy, and please be positive.
General Manager's report.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here serving the community as your new general manager. For the month of June, PMC actually had 2 general managers in action. I had the privilege of working with your now retired GM Karen to learn more about the day-to-day operations of the association. In the world of community management, transition time like this is not always possible, so I'm thankful to have had that time to be better prepared to be in full responsibility for PMC operations started July 1st. Right out of the gate, we faced challenges with unexpected loss of staff and some pool issues. I'm sure many of you know about those. Those of you who are on our email distribution are very aware of these, and we've reported on that. That an important underwater valve cover was damaged in late June. This missing part required us to close the pool on the 21st of June, which started a chain reaction of overheating the water. Then over July 14th weekend, we had a larger than anticipated weekend crowd in the pool, larger than past July 4th or Independence Day crowds. The weekend heat and combination of 100 plus people in the pool made for excessive water conditions that were unacceptable. So it was a combination of problems we had, and with chemical rebalancing, we were able to bring the pool back to normal by Monday of the holiday weekend. Within a few days following that, we were able to get water temperatures back to normal. I appreciate your patience as we work through these challenges. The pool is back up to full operation and good water quality at this point. To mitigate future challenges like these, we've contracted The golf course is experiencing good use through tournaments and regular play. We've got a tournament going on as we speak. The greens and fairways have benefited from the heavy snow and rain season, along with our staff efforts to improve conditions out there on the course. Equestrian Center operations continue to run smoothly, except for a recent passing of a rescue horse that could not be saved despite a veterinary's best efforts. Restaurant operations and entertainment also is doing well in spite of being short-staffed. Hiring additional staff is in progress. Other operations are also running smoothly with only minor hiccups to services they provide. Overall, my goal is to improve operational efficiencies to ensure the best value is provided for member assessments. I've identified some areas where pending improvements will streamline administrative processes that should have a positive impact on future budgets. Also, I hope to make improvements to amenities that will bring greater value to your assessments while managing our costs. I welcome ideas that members would like to share with me regarding potential improvements. Hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.
Treasurer's report.
Good morning. So for the month of June, these are draft numbers because, as you know, this is the end of our fiscal year, and the final numbers will come out probably in August reporting. For the revenue for June, it's better than budget, $448. The payroll expense is better than budget, $163,377. Total operating expense is better than budget, $108,728. Total change in operating fund is $266,854. Operating fund cash balance is $2,559,493, and reserve fund cash balance is $4,175,616. Sorry. I make a motion to ratify the review of the association's June 2023 financials in accordance with Civil Code, although we haven't really done that yet. We'll probably do that next month. We haven't reviewed the...
I did. Did you?
I did not.
Okay.
So I can't. I have to review them.
Okay, so we will remove that.
Yep.
Okay, and just so you didn't hear, usually the two directors, including Ellen, review the financials each month. She was not able to do so, I did, so we will bring it back next month. My part of it, I gave a thumbs up. All right.
Committee reports. Acknowledge receipt of committee minutes records. Acknowledge receipt of committee approved committee minutes. Emergency preparedness, May 2023. Governing documents, July 2023. Planning, April, May, June 2023. Approve environmental control committee project recommendations, 5.
Excuse me, we're going to do that separate. That's okay. So that was a motion to approve receipt of the committee minutes and the approved committee minutes. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Second by Ellen. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, next.
Approve Environmental Control Committee Project Recommendation 5.
Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second? Was it Jennifer? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Approve Cottage Industry Permits 0. Into member forum? Okay. Member open forum? Members' open forum. This 25-minute open forum is for members to present their comments. Each member is allotted 5 minutes and will be timed. Members wishing to be recognized should step to the microphone, address the board chair, and state name, track, and lot number. The board may extend the time limit for this forum to allow additional members to speak or grant additional time to a speaker when appropriate. Members may present questions to the board. If the question cannot be readily answered, it may be presented in writing or emailed to the recording secretary, and the question will be responded to within 15 calendar days upon receipt. In addition to the question, the member's name, track, and lot number, and telephone and/or email contact information must be included. Members may not yield time to other speakers. For the consideration of other speakers and the 25-minute time limit, members are requested to speak to the board only once during members' open forum. Members will refrain from being argumentative and making derogatory or personal remarks or gestures.
Okay. Open forum. Somebody have anything to say?
Good morning. Vicki Kraft, 3566211. Do we have a certified pool technician?
Yes, as you may have heard in Todd's report earlier, we just hired one.
Okay, good news. We had a forecast days in advance for lightning during the jazz concert, for Concert on the Greens. Then it was canceled due to weather. Why was it set up outside when we knew the weather forecast instead of being inside? How much did we lose in band fees and food and beverage income?
Do you have anything on that?
I don't have numbers for that, but I can provide those if you want to
I would be
communicate
curious.
with personally.
I think it's really important to pay attention to the weather forecast. We are going to have more weather the next part of this year than we've had the previous years. And, you know, the cost to members when we cancel things because they could have been set up inside instead of outside, obviously creates a loss of income. Thanks.
Hi, it's Jennifer.
Wait.
One thing, can I say anything?
What are you going to respond to?
That being on the budget committee, I've noticed that a lot of our events usually cost money rather than make money.
Okay. Anyone else?
Old business, none?
Oh, hang on.
Oh.
Catherine King, 3507260. I just want to request that you put on, somebody make a resolution to return to the old policy on term limits, and therefore it can come up for a discussion at the meeting, and you can decide whether these very flexible term limits are a good idea or not. But I'd like to hear a discussion of it, since we only changed it because state law said we could not enforce the old one, but now we can. So I ask all the board members, new board members, to please bring this up. I'll be looking for it. Thank you.
It looks like you should have like a surfboard too with you right now.
I have and a skateboard. And a few other
Where's your
things.
cowboy at? I didn't recognize you.
Right? I'm incognito. Sean Coulter, 350-8420. Just a quick question. Do we have any movement on the STR policy that has been adopted? Are we going to revert that? Or are we working on that at all as a board?
I understand there's discussion afoot to address it.
That's it?
That's it.
Cool, thanks.
Hi, Ross.
Ross Canton, lot number 350-7130-001. So I just have a couple of questions. We're gonna, I think the resolution for the 150,000 as part of the 357,000 is for the revitalization plan. Am I correct? It's part of the revitalization plan. And I have the breakdown, so I know what that is, but I'm just trying to figure out, is that part of the overall revitalization plan?
And I apologize, I missed just the start of
Yeah,
it. But your question
It's a
is,
resolution that you're going to vote for today on the 150,000. That is part of the
Overall revitalization.
GPUS.
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out what it's for.
we're trying to figure out what it's for? No, that resolution is for a change in the addendum for services from Gwen Pugh's studios.
And that's for the overall revitalization plan, like architectural
Yes.
drawings, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay. My question to you is, when we spoke, we had our meeting about my petitions, not petitions, et cetera, et cetera. The discussion, we went into this whole idea of 3 phases. That's still in effect, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, but this 500,000 for all the things, the total 500,000 approximately, is for a larger, it's not broken down into stages, am I correct?
It will be.
It will be, but what we're paying, what we're spending now is for the whole revitalization plan.
Correct.
Or no? Yes?
Correct. And if we looked at it as 3 phases, perhaps clubhouse, pavilion, recreation center, 3 phases, the plans will incorporate all 3, even though we may only do 1, 2, or all, or
Okay,
none.
so it's not separate, broken down, what we're paying GPUS?
Correct, correct. It's for everything.
Okay.
And then we will use that to determine bid amounts, and then we'll make a decision on how to proceed.
Okay.
And
And
so,
we're
but-
still, am I correct, Bill, that that's still a question mark on how much we're going to allocate for that revitalization plan, whether it comes in 3 phases or however? Are we still in the $10 million range, or do we not, we still don't know?
We still don't know. Once we modified and removed that admin section, we feel confident that we just reduced that amount. But again, until we get the numbers from people who are qualified to bid on these projects, we won't have the exact dollar amounts.
Okay.
And they will come in, again, by phases, and then if you total them all up, then there'll be an end number.
Can we expect more allocations for GPUS when we get into the phases? In other words, are we going to have to spend more money each phase for more of the architectural design, et cetera, et cetera?
I hope not.
Yeah.
No,
I hope not too. I mean,
No,
I'm just trying to figure it out.
No, because, again, what you're saying is that if we, and we'll probably get into more discussion on this when we go to get the resolution, so if maybe you can hold off, I will answer that in there.
Okay. Last question on that issue. Any idea, when we spoke, when we had our meeting, we talked about 4 months as the possible time it will take you to put the 3 phases together, et cetera, et cetera. I believe that was over 4 months ago, but I'm not pushing you on that. I'm just trying to get a sense of what you think the real timetable will be on this revitalization plan budget.
Our goal is hopefully October. We will have the answers by October, where we'll be able to send out and start aggressively seeking to find out how much it'll cost.
Okay, last question.
I think you said that other one was the last question.
What's that?
You just said the last question was the last question, but go ahead.
Oh, I'm
You're
sorry.
still on the clock. No,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Let me retract. Second to the last. Okay, this is the last. Okay. Philip, we talked before, gosh, 6 months ago, I guess the last time I had a conversation with you about the equestrian center, 177,000 allocation that was approved for maintenance, I guess it was, and some new things. At that time, you mentioned to me, it's, there's rocks falling and mudslides and repairs, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I've had time to look at it. I'm still confused. Have we spent any money on the maintenance to deal with the trenches that are there? Because we've had a series of storms that basically, when you have a series of storms, when the dirt and mudslides and everything is falling down and rocks and whatever you want to call it. But as far as I can tell, nothing's been done. But I don't know.
I don't remember any conversation with you about that at all, so.
Oh, address that to Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we know what's been done since then?
We have not started that yet, that project, so you haven't seen evidence because it hasn't been started yet. So the contractor, as my understanding is there's been some delays in getting you're referring to the grading of the pasture, if I
Yeah,
if
I mean,
understand.
it's the trenches that is the biggest issue there. And, I know that issue very well since I have property that has the same issue, and we've repaired them. And I guess kind of my comment is, we had these storms, we had a lot of vegetation that was on the greens over by, on the other side, the center itself. We never used any of that free material, and that was before your regime. So, but I'm curious why none of that was ever used, or nothing was done, because all you're going to do is we're going to go into winter, and those trenches are just going to get bigger, and the cost is just going to get bigger.
Yeah, and so and we're going to have to wrap this up here, but let me just ask the question to the equestrian manager. What is the target date for starting? Do you know?
I do.
And could you tell me that?
The second week of August. They just ordered the materials and we're waiting for the fencing to come in.
Okay, and for those of you listening online, our target date is the second week of August to begin.
Okay, and basically my last comment was, I believe that the greens, the trees, the greens, all the things that were put off to the side could have been used for that project if somebody had acted on it. That's all. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Ian? Get it quick.
Mariela Canton, 3507130. I don't understand this kind of dividing the whole project, 1, 2, and 3, and keeping the members in the dark into the total amount that the project will cost. The board has total approval by David Sterling on maintenance, but it doesn't have total approval for capital improvement. A project that was surveyed last year had a number of 10 million or more for the loan. That would require a special assessment because it's more than 5% of the budget. I'm asking the board to consider an actual vote once the total amount of the project is calculated. The members have a say. It's our money. Thank you.
Very good, yeah. Yes.
Good morning. Ian, sorry, lot 229, track 3507. I may have gone backwards on this topic here. mention it. I've got a safety page up here. I mentioned it a year or two ago regarding electrified, not necessarily fencing, but they're like bungee cords. They are effectively being used multiple states, but in California, there's a company that is doing very well with these electrified projects. The company's name is Tahoe Bear Busters. They've got great videos online. The enhancements, again, are bungee cord type of electrical fencing that go around windows and doors. They actually look very, very home friendly as far as actually like an improvement, maybe financially as well, home insurance wise. I brought this up in the past, a year or two. I was incorrectly under the assumption it was a CC&R issue, but after speaking with Joe, Patrice, I mentioned to Todd as well the website and the possible enhancement of this. But if the board in general, I know has to go through EC first, but Joe just told me this morning that it sounds like it could be a go after EC looks at it and then presents it to the board in whole. But to me, whatever we're doing for the Bears the last few years is not working. Putting up wrought iron bars and things like that, hiding our kitchens, closing our curtains, having a Bear interior designer is not working for me. We want to have our windows open to enjoy the cool weather, especially on hot days like this. But if you're in fear, you can't open any bottom windows. And the Bears, in general, don't care if the homes are occupied anymore. They have great smell, as we all can find, know and aware. But they actively are looking at every home now as a source and a reward. So if the board in general can look at this, that would be great. Even though I've already kind of, again, maybe gone backwards with presenting it to Patrice, Joe, and Todd.
It just, so I'm clear, and I saw your stuff posted, but did you present this to the Environmental Control Committee seeking their opinion on whether it would be approved or not?
I did not, because I wasn't sure of the proper order, but Joe told me this morning that he will present it to the committee.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's the proper way.
No, that is the proper way, and
Okay.
you've given him the information so that he can take that to that committee.
Yes.
Okay, that's the proper way to do it.
Thank you.
And if you want, if you might find out from him when it gets presented to that committee, and you could appear and speak on, like you have right here.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Old business, none. New business?
I, Director Ballard, move the adoption of the following attached resolution. Resolution 0107152023, Association Rule 3.10 update.
Seconded by Brad. Discussion?
What we're doing here is we're changing a 2 into a 3. Swear to God. We're changing a 2 to a 3 to coincide with California Civil Code. That's all we're doing.
And just to clarify, it was the code that, sorry. To clarify, it was the code that should have been, the California State Code that should have had a 3.
Yes,
We just
yeah. We had a 2.
had a 2 there, and
Yeah.
so it's just correcting the description of the code.
Anything else, directors? Members? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I, Director Ballard, move the adoption of the attached resolution. Resolution 0207152023, bylaw 10.02, formation and purpose of assessment as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Cam. Discussion? Do you want to clarify?
Yeah, basically what we've done here is we've delineated some issues about formation of assessment, when the assessment becomes due, when interest is charged on those delinquent assessments. So we've made several changes to make it clearer to the public about how you pay your assessments and when they're due.
Brad? Mike?
Mike.
Toward the end of it, it refers to, if I'm correct here, it looks like it refers to changing something from a 2/3 vote of the members to 75% of the voters. Is that a part of the same
Yes, it is.
resolution?
It is.
Is it connected to the other part of the resolution?
What do you
Is it, it's just specific to, it looks to me like we're changing a vote threshold.
We are.
Are we, and for what?
For this, because.
For just this.
The old threshold was 2/3 of the membership.
Right.
We never get that. We never get 2/3 even to vote for something.
But we have to have 2/3 to pass this and make the change to 75% of the voting members.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, and so if we pass that, I guess I'm sorry if I'm confused by this. I guess I don't understand why that is, since we have to have 2/3 of the membership to have this pass, I don't understand why the 75% lower threshold is a part of this.
Okay.
Unless that's going to apply to other things.
No. So the two bylaws, again, require the 2/3 of the membership. And so there was changes in the law, civil code, on when you can do certain things with your budgets. To comply with those, a lot of these changes were made. And at the same time, again, the board would approve it like they would do any bylaw, and then it gets ratified by members. Well, we made the proposal to change. We also thought, or it was discussed, that the threshold was very high and we could never make changes. And so the 75% was added in here as a proposal. That won't take effect if this doesn't get passed. Does that make sense?
Yes, and
Okay.
so if it is, doesn't, that only applies to future changes on this, the 75% of voting members threshold would only apply to future changes on this bylaw should this pass.
If it gets ratified by 2/3 of the members. So what is that, and this is probably the fourth year maybe that the changes has been made, so this being the first board meeting of the year, because this is, other than the voting part of it, the protocol or how we follow it, the dates, is consistent with civil code. And so each year, to comply with civil code, we have to make these changes. Unfortunately, we can't make changes to the bylaws unless 2/3 of the membership approves, so each year we have to keep coming back. I think it was maybe 2 years ago that the law allowed us to make changes to bylaws that were consistent and complied with the law. So what we would like to do, and we're going to probably be looking at governing docs, is changing this bylaw so it's consistent with state law, and the other things would not be included in here, and so we could then make that change and approve it without vote of the membership. But the other things, like the 75%, we couldn't do that, because that's not part of what the state law is. We'd have to attack that in another method to change these two. Does that make sense? Okay.
So does this mean we will, sorry, my notebook in my lap. So does this mean we still have to send this request through the membership?
Yes.
At this point, because we're requesting changes to 10.2 and 10.3.
Correct, and that would
So-
go into the elections, just, because again, we just voted, when we voted for the new directors, you noticed 1001 and 2, and although it
Yeah.
passed, it didn't
It didn't
meet the
make the
threshold.
threshold.
So
Right.
we would have to again do that again, and I
Yeah.
think this is probably the fourth or fifth year that this has occurred.
So we still probably won't be able to make this go through if we don't.
Well, I'm hoping that we won't,
Ever.
that we can change this, once governing docs tackles this, I'm thinking that this will probably be re-proposed in a different format. But meanwhile, we have to do this, pass it now so we can comply. I anticipate that this, as you're looking at it right now, will probably not be on the ballot as we're looking at it right now, because they hopefully will write a new bylaw change to comply only with the state law, and everything else will be the same. And that is what would go back to the members for ratification. Any other directors? Members? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I, Director Ballard, move the adoption of the attached resolution, Resolution 030715-2023, bylaw 10.03, budget formation as submitted.
Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Discussion. You want to say something?
You want me to discuss, okay. What we've done is, hold on just a second. Just a second. What we've done with this resolution I'm not there?
Nope.
No, okay. Is that we have amended this resolution to list all the things that we need to submit to the membership when it comes time to form the budget. We have to add an annual letter of the summary of reserve fund status, policy of delinquent accounts, a summary of the insurance policies for the association, the alternative dispute resolution policy, and all of the requirements of Civil Code 5300. So we've made those changes to apply to meet the Civil Code so that you as the membership get a better view of what's going on with us.
Brad, did you have anything? And similar to the last one we just discussed, there are sections in here that, again, were required by law. The last part about it, we had to actually add about alternative dispute resolution and some other items were added on there, not as part of required. So I anticipate, again, so that we don't have to come back to this, because this also requires 2/3 membership approval. I anticipate us bifurcating that and moving that into probably another bylaw. But again, as of today, this is what we need to comply with. Any other, directors, any other comments, questions? Members? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I, Director McClellan, move the adoption of the following resolution, Resolution 040715-2023 carryover funds. Whereas the association needs California Highway Patrol CHP to monitor our streets for safety of our members and guests, and whereas in March of each year, management shall estimate the potential carryover, and whereas the board shall include the amount in the budget development process, and whereas the funds will be allocated within the budget for the 23-24 year, and resolve that the PMC POA Board of Directors approves Resolution 040715-2023, allocating $50,000 not to exceed from carryover funds to the California Highway Patrol.
Second.
Second by Richard. Discussion?
Yes, please.
Can I, just beforehand, I just want to tell people what the history of it is before we get into that part. Is that okay?
Please, go ahead.
Okay. So over 2 years ago, based on complaints and concerns by members about traffic problems that we were having, we met with the CHP to attempt to elicit extra support for what's going on up here. And we first attempted to get services for what our taxes pay for already, and you know how that goes. So short staffing and some other issues in there, and we learned of other entities that contracted services above and beyond their normal services. And so we talked to the Highway Patrol and attempted to get extra services up here to serve our members and hopefully address a lot of the issues that we had traffic related. At the time, too, we also allocated $50,000 to the Highway Patrol to be used for this, but the contracts never got any further. They got waylaid in Sacramento. And so we just continued to carry over thinking that this contract would show up. And again, this contract, although it says not to exceed, it's not we're going to give them a check for $50,000 and get these things. It was actually prorated, minimal services whenever we wanted it, 4-hour shifts by highway patrolmen on an overtime basis when we needed to address it. And again, the contract got waylaid in Sacramento, and we pretty much thought it was done, although each year we had allocated this money in our project fund. And so this year, as we were getting our budget ready, we decided not to put this money in there because we didn't think anything was going to happen. And lo and behold, after the budget was approved, I think maybe 2 months ago, the CHP said, it's been approved. And we said, that's great, we don't have any money to pay for that. And so that's what this motion is here. And again, it is we have not seen the contract yet, it's on its way here, and so this is only allocating the money. If the contract shows up and the board says, we don't like this contract, or we don't like how things are working out, the money won't be spent. We're just setting it aside like it was set aside for the past 2 years to address these services on a random basis on how we might better have them enforced. And again, the biggest argument always is, well, aren't we already paying for these services? And yes, we are, but again, just like with the Sheriff's Department, sometimes we don't always get the attention we need. And in meeting with the new CHP commander, their number one priority is the freeway. And that's their main concern, and the rest of us, not just here in PMC, but every place else within their jurisdiction of that office is how it's looked at. Mark.
Thank you, Bill. It's not as simple as it sounds, just because someone from the Highway Patrol is new and they think they can patrol our roads. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely a speeding problem up here, and I would like to see it addressed. But there's several California codes that PMC roads aren't up to. And we went down this road before, probably about a dozen years ago, and we invited the CHP, and they did actually bring some officers up here. And I was actually going up Freeman. I did a California stop on Birchwood, and I got pulled over. And the highway patrol guy came up to me, and he asked me for my license and registration, and then I said, why? And of course, he said, you did stop at the stop sign. And I said, well, you can't patrol our roads because our roads don't meet the California Vehicle Code. I said, and that stop sign was installed by 9 retired board members like ourselves in an illegal place. And he went ahead and wrote me the ticket anyway. I said, well, you're going to look a little silly in court. And so I went to court. He was there. I got to cross-examine him. I took photographs of people driving golf carts, which obviously don't have turn signals, stoplights, and the judge threw it out. And we didn't have Facebook back then, but we had something like Yahoo groups, and I just mentioned that on there. And a couple of people contacted me that had got tickets as well, and I showed them the evidence I used, and they got their tickets thrown out as well. I'm not proud that I allowed people to speed on our roads, but it's just not enforceable. The California Highway Patrol would gladly do it and take our money, but I would hate to waste our money when the judge would just toss them out.
So what I think you're saying, Mark, is that unless we bring our signage and whatever other things within the Kern County Code, roads code, once we do that, then it would be enforceable.
That would probably be likely, but it wouldn't just be stop signs, it would be the height of the stop sign, right, the conspicuousy of the stop sign, the width of our roadways, the stop line break, and a whole bunch of other stuff that Kern County Engineering would have to approve. And one of the things I did tell the judge was, this is a really silly place to put a stop sign because it's on a slope. And if this was the winter, there'd be ice and snow, and you wouldn't be able to stop there if you wanted to. And to which the highway patrol officer said, well, it wasn't snowing. And I said, well, we don't remove our stop signs. And so it has to be approved by Kern County Roads and Maintenance, not by 9 members. And the codes that I've got right here, it says it should be approved by the majority of the members. It did say that the board members, it could also be approved by them, but I hold the members in higher regard than I do the board members. The members are at the top of the food chain, so it should be decided by the members.
All right, so,
Go ahead.
so my follow-up question then would be, what we probably would want to do before we actually spend the money, which we're not spending right now, we're just putting the money aside in case we need it. We want to find out what is it going to cost us to bring our signage up to code before we venture into making any requests for California Highway Patrol to come. So that doesn't preclude us from putting the money aside in case we need it, we decide that, yes, we're going to go through with it, and then maybe at the end of the year, we decide we're not going to do this, we're not going to use them, we don't care. We're going to bring our streets up to code first before we try to bring them up here to enforce, is what I'm thinking here.
I agree with that assessment.
All right, thank you.
Cam, then Brett.
In my experience, we will never be able to bring our roads up to Kern County code. It would be too expensive, like you said, the width, the depth, I don't know. It's been a problem for many years and that's one reason why when some people say, let's get rid of the association and let the county take it over, the county would never, ever take over this community. This community would just end up with roads like Fraser, dirt riverbeds. But I think even though you say that you could beat that in court, I think having Highway Patrol up here would still be a deterrent. And I think there are other things they could do that are important, even if they just control the speed on the highway through our community. I mean, I think it's important, and I think we would get a lot of benefits in ways that we can't even think of right now, and I think it's a good idea.
Can I, oh, sorry.
No, you want to respond to her? Go ahead.
Yes, I think, Philip, you brought up when you and I was having a private discussion about the 1%. I'm not sure if it's sales tax, but we should try and get the CHP up here to at least patrol Mill Potrero Highway, since we're already paying for them.
Well, I think that.
Philip, hang on.
Go ahead.
So enforcement would be one thing they can do. Events, if we requested them extra presence for events, are there other types of examples that we would use them for? The CHP.
Right, and actually the primary use was really not for special
Was
events.
enforcement.
Because we had mentioned to the CHP that they should be up here for the special events. This is again in response to the speeders, and the other problems that people were reporting to us that they would be looking at, and we would randomly, pick when we thought was good times for them to be up here and test the waters.
And if we have this contract with them and the funding, does it guarantee that when we want them, that we will get them?
It does not guarantee it, because it's an overtime basis that officers would sign up for. And so if we said, we'd like to have you up here Saturday from noon to 4, if nobody signed up to work that shift, then we wouldn't do it. And we wouldn't be responsible to have to pay for it.
And if it is for enforcement, I would agree with Cam, it is a disincentive to speed, because a lot of people aren't going to be able to take the time to go and fight a ticket, and they're going to avoid getting one or learn their lesson. So I agree, they're going to be writing tickets that people could get out of, but most people probably aren't going to go to court over them.
Well, I think, to Mark's point as well, is that if we have things here that really aren't compliant with, the codes or the laws, we should take a look at, being compliant.
And the money does not, until we actually get service, like we could end up with this 50,000 just sitting there if we never requested at a time that they can do it.
Correct. Philip?
So my comment about the 1% is actually directed towards the sheriff department, because the 1% is for the county, unincorporated, which would include the sheriff. So I think along with this this amendment, this proposal, if we need to put pressure on the sheriff to come up here and do their job, because we're paying for it now. Every time you go to Costco in Bakersfield, or you pay for gas in Kern County, you're paying that 1%. Everyone up here is paying that 1%. So along with that, I think we need to put pressure on the sheriff department to start, and the money is meant for the unincorporated, which is us, all of us here, okay? And, but the second thing, maybe part of the 50,000 could go towards upgrading our stop signs so that the proper height, to the proper width, putting the paint properly, so that it's more enforceable. I'm not so much worried about people doing California stops. That's I think that would be a silly thing to enforce up here. So I really want them to more be enforcing the speeding on where the transfer site, Aleutian, Freeman, and Woodland. Those would be my main things rather than California stops. I'm not concerned about California stops. So those, I think the 50,000 could and should go towards improving the stop signs and making sure all of our stop signs are compliant in the height, the width, and whatnot. So anyhow, that's my thought.
Okay, and just a point of clarification, the sales tax is only collected in the unincorporated areas.
Which we are, we're unincorporated.
Right, but when you go to Costco, that's Bakersfield, that's not unincorporated. That money goes to them. That is not, it's only collected within the unincorporated areas. Businesses in the unincorporated areas, not businesses in cities within
We're
the
still
county.
paying 1% for anything in unincorporated, and they need to start giving us our services that we're paying for.
Agreed. Jennifer?
I was just going to quickly mention, one of the things I've noticed driving around is that the stop signs are typically hidden by bush. And that's another issue that we should probably, bushes or trees or whatever is blocking them. I think that's something, I'm kind of pointing at Todd right now, to make sure that we get that handled. I mean, that's something we should do now anyway.
No, absolutely, and if people see something like that, because I actually, it was a street sign, it wasn't a stop sign, and I think it was at the bottom of your street, at Bernina and Zermatt, that used to be covered with branches, and you couldn't read the street sign. And so, if you see something like that, let them know.
I don't think it should be incumbent upon the members
Yeah.
to report that. I think that that association needs to go out and investigate all the stop signs.
All right, Cam, quickly, and then Ellen, and then we're going to
I
let
just wanted to
members.
say with a California stop, that's where you're rolling, you don't stop. Where I live, I always brake. I live on Simons, and as I go down the hill, the corner of Askin and Simons at the fire station, hardly anyone ever stops. And I have to brake, even though I don't have a stop sign, because they will roll right through, right in front of me, even when they see me, and I think it's very important to stop the California stops. Yes.
Ellen?
Okay, just to remind everyone, what we're voting on here is not if we're going to get the CHP today. We don't have the contract yet. We're just voting on if we're going to set the money aside from the carryover funds, because the budget's already been set. So I think it's important to set the money aside, so when we do get the contract, we can decide if we choose to approve it or not.
Yeah. I'm just going to do, members, anything from members? Yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah. Everyone knows that I'm really big with the law enforcement. I can't tell you how many times growing up, knowing what they've done for us is an amazing job overall. I don't understand why CHP, because they themselves are dedicated to traffic enforcement. So if somebody has a burglary, or if somebody has an altercation with a neighbor, or somebody has an altercation with their spouse, CHP can't do anything for us. That's sheriffs. Why aren't we going to them and getting them to do, because I know that they can do traffic control here, they can do traffic stops here, they can also come to each house and work with us. Why are we dedicating $50,000, which is approximately $160 a year out of our pockets, going to CHP? Maybe. It doesn't make sense to me. Go with the sheriff's department. That would make better sense to me. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mariela Canton, 3507130. I have a suggestion. And the extra funds, or the surplus of the funds, should go back to the 2024 budget or go back to the members. It came from our money, it wasn't in the budget, and I don't understand how you have like the piggyback on the side to whatever comes out to allocate money in the middle of the year without having a contract, without having a clarity of what this extra service will provide to the owners. This is just double taxing, and we're tired of that. We're tired of paying over and over assessments.
Let me just say this, this proposal didn't come from the board of directors. This proposal came from the members. Members who were tired of people speeding, members who were tired of people driving recklessly in the community, and so we were addressing a traffic issue, not a burglary or a domestic violence issue. And when we started this 2 years ago, that was the precedence for what we were doing. And so it was the members. The board didn't sit up here and say, hey, let's get CHP. It was the members who were saying, please do something. And that was the response that we did, and unfortunately, it has lingered way too long. Any other members?
Morning again, Ian, sorry, lot 229-3507. Couple things that make sure we can clarify. I've been told by CHP, even with our coffee with the cops, which is today, 1 o'clock, I want you to know, today, 1 o'clock. But jurisdiction on the side roads off of Mill Patrol Highway is a association enforcement. The highway, Mill Patrol Highway, is the CHP enforcement. I've heard that several times, I've never seen it in writing, but that is my understanding, that the side roads. But CHP can enforce all of the highways and roads everywhere. But as far as when it comes to whether it's a sheriff or a CHP up here, I think if there's any patrol car from any agency sitting at a stop sign, I think people will stop, whether it's CHP, Highway Patrol, or whichever. That's just my thought. But mainly, the jurisdiction enforcement is what I think is more probably a precedence on who it belongs to.
And just to clarify that, Kern County did annex these roads for the purposes of enforcement.
Okay.
In July of 2018, Donnie Youngblood, our head sheriff here for Kern County, on video promised us a deputy resident. He has still been working on that. He was here last, I think, August or September of 2022, and came up to me personally because he knows it's a hot topic with me. And he is still working on hiring more sheriffs, getting more bonuses put toward them, and he said he is still working and hoping to give us a deputy sheriff. That would be a resident deputy living here in Pine Mountain Club. We don't have to pay for it. It doesn't come out of our assessment money. I am against putting any money of our residents' money toward paying for more crap that we come up with on a list. I think there's more ways to take care of this. If we have to do a GoFundMe, let's do that, and the people who want it can pay for it.
Yeah.
Whatever, there's always alternative ways to go about this. Put the $50,000 toward the clubhouse, or towards something else that will benefit more people in a positive way. And again, the issues that Mark brought up are absolutely true. They've been documented for at least 13 years here in Pine Mountain Club. More people than just Mark and people he knows have gotten out of different situations. In addition, our biggest issue on Mill Potrero Highway are the people who are illegally passing people on the double yellow.
Yeah.
When that happens to you, text CHP. They intercept people. They've done it for me at least probably 10 times this year already. They will come from wherever they are and pull the person over. They will also send letters to them if you take their plate. Always have a sheriff number and issue, I'm more concerned with the illegal double passing. We've had so many near misses, even not in our area, but, you know, Cuddy Valley Road, Fraser Mountain Park Road. Jim Pike put a really good description of what happened to him up a couple years ago that was unbelievable, with cars ending up on the side of the road and just a really bad situation. So more important to be good citizens, report what you see, take care of talking to people that you know that are doing this sort of thing, especially the double passing. I can't emphasize the danger of that enough. Thanks.
Thank you.
Michael King, I'm sorry I don't have my card with me, but everybody here probably knows me. I agree with everything these people have said. I think it's an extremely bad precedent to be establishing, saying we're going to take money and put it aside for something that we don't even know about, period. Okay? I mean, where would it stop? Are we going to start putting money aside for the sheriff that didn't do anything about the drug dealers that they knew about? Okay, that's the facts. Okay? These people, the sheriff and the CHP, any of these cops, they're going to do what they're going to do based upon the resources they have. Okay? So that we cannot start establishing precedent at setting aside money to pay for services that we should already be getting. Period. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Directors, anything else?
I don't know if it can be a friendly amendment to this, but I would like to see, as part of the 50,000, that money goes towards improving our infrastructure in terms of the signs, the paint that would go on the ground. So I mean, I think we should, that part, hopefully it could be a friendly amendment to this amendment, that we, in maybe the first year at least, 5,000 to 10,000 might be needed to fix our signs and fix the paint that goes, the warning, I don't know what you call it. Who knows what the lines before, before the stop sign, the limit line, I guess you call it. To fix those as part of 50,000, and then also work with the sheriff to get them up here at much more than they are now. I think it should be a three-pronged approach, not just highway patrol, but sheriff and fixing our signs so that they are compliant. So I don't know if that's possible or not at this point.
I would just say this, only because it hasn't been clearly designated, we're setting it aside. I would say a friendly amendment at this point would probably not be appropriate, but we could come back and address it and address some of those same things, both with this money and perhaps any other operating fund money that's available in the road maintenance budget. So as far as a friendly amendment, I would say no, but we still can come back. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
So you're saying, like, let's say a month or two from now, we could come back and do a reclassification
Yeah,
of
let's
that
just,
money?
as an example, some of the suggestions, that Mark had made as well, is that if we thought, hey, it's going to cost us $10,000, and I think that's probably low,
Yeah.
to be compliant, we could come back and say, hey, that money we allocated,
Let's pull from that.
we could do
Okay.
that.
All right.
Any other comments? Yeah.
I just don't see them connected. I think this is the CHP money. If we want to do road maintenance, it's going to cost more than $10,000 to probably do anything. So, I agree, like, it shouldn't be amended. It's either yes or no.
Okay, so, all right, one more.
Just really quick, I wanted just to clarify, Sean had said something about $160. It's actually $1.40 a month to have an additional CHP driving around our community once in a while, and I think it's worth it.
Okay, so the motion is to allocate the 50, no. The motion is to allocate $50,000 toward the CHP to monitor our streets. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
And Brad? So I have Brad and Mark voting no, the rest voted yes. Motion carries.
I, Director McClellan, move to adopt the following resolution. Resolution 05-07-15-2023, Winpew Urban Studios, GPUS, contract addendum for additional and outside services for the revitalization project. Whereas the PMC POA Board of Directors approved the master plan for the Clubhouse Complex Revitalization Resolution 0103-1619, and the board approved $357,800 to Gwen Pugh Urban Studios for services specified within a letter of agreement plus 10% contingency to include schematic design development, and construction documents. Resolution 03-1121-2020, and whereas the purpose of this resolution is to address additional GPUS services and outside services for subcontractors not to include within the original contract and those specified services and costs totaling $150,292 will assist in the preparation of the final construction documents with the effect to determine the overall project cost. Therefore, to be resolved that the board hereby approve Resolution 050715-2023, $292, to Gwen Pugh Urban Studios for additional and outside services for the revitalization project as specified plus 10% contingency using a combination of allocated funds and reserves. Geez, that's a tongue twister.
Is there a second? Second by Richard. Discussion? Mark?
Yes. First of all, a disclaimer. I like Gwen. We're friends. We met at Sagebrush Annie's. We like our wine. But first of all, I've got a question. If this passes, what will be the total amount we've paid Urban Studios to date if this passes? And then I would like to make a comment, please.
I believe to date, $88,000 and some change has been spent to Gwen Pugh Studios for these phases. Okay, so it's less than $88,000. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, my comments right now is we're doing this on the survey, apparently the 5-year plan of 2021. I went to the planning committee as the liaison a week or two ago. I see Lisa in the back. It's a great committee. Candice runs it. She runs a great tight ship. And one of the things that came up is we wasn't quite sure where this survey went to, where it was first distributed and where it went to. And I'm piggybacking that in with how much PMC woke up when they got the survey in January of this year to basically ask them, do they want to pay almost $4K up front, or do they want to take out a loan for probably what's going to be a minimum of $10.5 million? And as you know, myself and several other fiscally responsible people set ourselves up and took signatures, and in 2.5 snow blitz days, we collected double what we was required to collect and turn them in right at the deadline. And when I spoke at the orientation here, both council and Todd put up flow charts that showed the members, again, top of the food chain, they're the most important people. And when we was collecting signatures at the post office, about 9 in 10 was gladly signing these petitions. I think it's high time we had, now that the members are woken up, that we have a real survey, worded properly, with a vote of the membership.
Just a general comment. So if we were originally talking about 10.5, which you've said probably it'll be less than that. So assuming, just because 10.5 is the number that we keep talking about, I did do a little bit of online research to discover, what is the appropriate level of spending when it comes to these types of design and architecture documents. So as we figured out, it's at this point with the 80,000 we've already spent, plus the 503 we're talking about spending in total for Gwen. We're talking about 583,000, let's say. So I took that number and divided it into by the 10.5, and I came up with about 4.75%, maybe a little bit, 4 to 5%. And what my research showed was if for a significant project, it can be anywhere from 3% of the total cost, which is what we're talking about, to 13% of the total cost. So his number's coming in around 4.5 to 5%. So just pointing out that this is a reasonable amount of money for him specifically, and we're not talking today about what we're going to spend or how much we're going to spend for the project in total. We're just talking about, let's get the designs out there, let's start getting some contract bids going so we can talk real numbers, because right now it's in the air and it's empty space. So until we have some concrete numbers based on these documents that they're going to create for us, we can't tell anyone what the total amount is. Thanks.
I just want to say that when you elect board members, we have a fiduciary responsibility to act on behalf of what we believe is best for the entire community, not just for ourselves. So when I vote to raise an assessment, I don't want to pay more assessment. I don't want to pay anything. If I could get every service here for free, that's what I want, but I know that's unrealistic. But I just want to point out too what I believe about petitions, and this is from my experience over many years, not just the most recent petition, is that a lot of people sign petitions not knowing what they're about, because the wording on the petition takes about this much room on the paper. And the research that we've done probably takes a stack of papers about this high. And members vote in their own interest, which is what they should do, because they're raising families, they have their own property to consider, and they will vote in their own interest. You will always get the same answer from members, and that is that they don't want to spend any money. And it's my belief, and I might be wrong about this, but everyone who clapped for the having the members vote are members who want to stop this project. Because a member, wait a minute. Because members, historically, members would never approve if they have this much information on a piece of paper and it says to spend $10 million, they say no. I've said this at another meeting, but I'll say it now again. The estimate we got was over $10 million. It seemed high to all of us. All of us discussed it. And we all thought it seemed high, but those were the numbers we had at the time. And the reason why we sent out the survey was to get the member, to see if we had the member vote, because the board is authorized to make all the decisions for the association up to a certain point. Above that point of spending, that's when the members have the authority to vote. So from that survey, we found out that the members will not approve that $10 million number. So we could, stop.
Excuse me.
Stop. Bill, please.
I just said.
Okay. So we found out that the members will not approve that because that's a special assessment that is over the amount that we're authorized to do. So we already have, for a couple months, worked on plans to get that number of what we're going to spend down to an amount that will not have a special assessment, that will go over an amount that we're authorized to do. And that's why these new drawings are being completed. That's why we changed from building a two-story administration building to putting administration downstairs. And when we get those new numbers, I'm confident that the amount we will have choices of what to spend, and the amount we're going to spend is going to be way under the 10 million, because we might not decide to do all three phases because maybe of the amount that it costs. And the members, in my opinion, the members cannot choose to do that when they get this much information, one paragraph of information, because they're only voting on one thing, the amount of money. And that's what we're going to bring down for the members, and that's what we're doing.
Philip?
Come to every meeting and be a member of every committee.
Cam?
Okay, I just want to say a couple things. A, do I wish that survey had never gone out? Yes, absolutely. I wish that survey had never gone out. It was badly worded. It was using numbers that were not accurate. And I think it caused a firestorm in the community. I think that we should have waited until after we have, until we had the true numbers, which we won't have until October. And then at that point, we'll have probably another meeting and explain to everyone what's going on. But $10.5 million is going to be high, and it's probably going to be a lot less, but we don't know. And part of the reason of doing the money for Gwen and his company is to get those numbers. That's what everyone wants. They want numbers. And we cannot get numbers until we finish this project of getting building documents. Once we have the building documents and we can send it out to contractors and they know how many toilets we have, how many square feet of copper pipe we need, and how much wiring we need, until we have all that information down pat, nobody can make a bid. You can go online all day long and say what should a 5,000 or 7,000 square foot building cost. It's not going to be accurate because there's cement has gone through the roof, lumber has come down, thankfully. But until we can get the numbers, and that's what this resolution is all about. This is about nothing else but getting our solid numbers that we can present to you. And you got to remember that Gwen worked, and I worked with him for 2 years, and he didn't charge a dime for it, just to get the pool ready. And I remember meeting in his studio in Santa Monica several times, and up here many times, and he didn't charge the community a dime for that. Okay, so this is a reasonable amount to get, so that we can finally have the exact numbers we're going to need. It's time that we have the exact numbers and stop worrying about the 10.5 million, because we know that that's not a number that's accurate anymore. And let's get this figured out, and then we'll come back to the community and say, this is what we have. We can't do anything until this gets approved. This gets approved, we can move forward, and we can give you probably 95% accuracy of what it's going to cost. So that's what this resolution is all about.
Thank you. Okay, as per legal and Seal and Todd, and I'm not going to talk about what went on in executive, fiduciary responsibility is to the membership. And Director Acosta said they don't want to have the membership vote because they know they will vote it down. That is not fiduciary duty, but just the opposite. How about our survey goes out, or a vote, and includes how much the membership is willing to pay in additional fees, and then figure out how best to spend it?
Very quickly.
Okay, very quickly. Actually, I did, you worded it a little differently, and, oh God, now I have to say this
I
fast.
apologize if I did. I didn't think so. I wrote it down, but.
Oh, okay, but I believe, as a board member, here's a quote, that you promise to act solely in the best interest of the association. We're running the association, a private corporation, which exists solely for the members. But there's a difference between that and having members vote for things. They're totally two separate things.
Okay, and just, the attorney did not say the members are the fiduciaries for the association. The board members are the fiduciaries, and that's in Davis Sterling, that's in our bylaws. So that was not correct.
Todd actually put up the flow chart.
The flow chart wasn't a fiduciary, that was how we respond to members.
Yeah, I would agree, Mark. That was just a general oversight of how operations of a community work in an association. But ultimately, in Davis Sterling, it's the board solely who has fiduciary responsibility. So indirectly, yes, membership has input into that, and as like in the survey that was done prior to my time here. But ultimately, it's the board. And to some degree delegated to me that has that fiduciary responsibility. And I don't have the Davis Sterling reference here right in front of me at this moment, but I can show you that to clarify.
Can I answer that, please, Bill, without getting into exact details of what happened in executive? What Len Siegel said is, if the membership wants something and you board directors want something else, you have to give up and get the membership what they want. That came from him, and I wrote that down in the notes.
That's what he said.
All right, so let's just do this here just for the sake of time. Members.
Yeah, this is a ridiculous argument.
Hang on one second. George, is...
On the side, my side.
Thank you. Okay, it's frustrating. One, we don't have an approved revitalization plan yet. Okay, and when the survey went out, the members, I think it was a 3-to-1 margin against it. This has nothing to do with Cam and what you think that every member is. Anytime the assessments go up, people complain, okay? And they haven't gone down, okay? They keep going up. And our services are basically the same. So, one, you want a revitalization project. You don't have a number. You have it in 3 phases now. We're paying for designs on this larger project and not broken down into the 3 phases that we've been told is going to happen. We haven't seen what the 3 phases look like or how much they will cost. Okay, maybe it's 10 million, maybe it's 5 million. We don't know yet. As far as I know Bill in our conversation, we don't know. It may be 10 million, it may be 5 million. But we're talking about this prematurely, and we're assessing prematurely. It makes no sense to me. Secondly, I want to follow up on what Mark was saying about the petitions. Yes, we as a small group collected 300 plus signatures in 2 days. It wasn't about, people not understanding. They're very clear. The membership is intelligent, Cam, and they will ask questions. What am I signing? Why am I signing this? And what they were signing was not a stupid survey that didn't really tell anything. It just basically was skewed so that everybody said, oh yeah, how am I going to pay? How am I going to pay? Well, nobody approved even what they were paying for. So that's the issue here. We don't have this project yet. We don't have the plans. Oh, sure, we're going to get the numbers. Are we going to get the numbers of each phase individually? That's what the $500,000 is for? Okay,
Yes.
and we're going to get that in October.
Yes.
And then the members should vote on it. Vote. Members vote, members empowerment. Not 9 people who think they speak for all of our interests. You don't. You don't speak for all of our interests. A lot of times you're in conflict with our interests, and that's what makes people angry. That's what makes people frustrated. Okay? That's it for me.
I think we've gotten so far off track here. This this resolution has nothing to do with building the project. It's strictly to get numbers, and I don't know why why we're continuing this.
And again, you keep this in mind. No, I'm not.
On topic.
I know.
So Jonathan Gilliam. Excuse me. Jonathan Gilliam, 350-8579. So I'm an architect. Gwen Pugh's fees are totally in line with with industry standards. Completely. And the fact that we've only paid him $88,000 so far is borderline criminal. He's basically given us this project. It's crazy. So to ask him, to ask for a little more fees, the $150,000 is not all going into Gwen's pocket. And people should know that, because the way that these architectural projects work at this scale is that the architect hires all of the consultants. So they're the prime contractor. They have everybody subcontract for them. So Gwen's got to pay the structural engineers, the geotechnical, the survey, everybody that's involved in designing the project. So I would imagine this $150 is for additional work for the third redesign and for additional consultants that may not have been done before. Now, let's see. Secondly, there was some question as to the survey, and Mark, now you know who I am. So the survey was distributed via the Condor Facebook. We went to great pains to try and get that to everybody. I don't know how it didn't get to you, and I don't know how it wasn't posted about on your message board, but it was distributed.
It was.
We left printed copies here at the office for people to fill out, so I think actually if we look at the numbers, we had roughly triple the previous survey's numbers and then roughly double the one before that, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I just wanted to address that. And I think that's pretty much what I have to say. So, thank you.
Jonathan. Thank you.
I guess I'm going to try and be a voice of reason, maybe. My dilemma right now is that this is the second go-around for us as far as trying to redo this clubhouse. You have a fiduciary duty to maintain the property. Right now, you have a new build going on with that blueprint out there. We have a third building that you're going to be building. That is not maintaining. So, I'm not going to argue or say anything negative about what Gwen should be getting, but what I am saying is why isn't the members being able to vote for this particular item first? Just say, hey, look, we're not sure exactly how much it's going to cost us. We want to get this information to you, but with the plans that where they're set right now, do you approve that blueprint? That's all. Do we approve that? Now, I was at the meeting when they were showing us how this establishment was going to be redone. I was there when I heard someone say, a board member say, can we make the entrance even larger? And Gwen said, yes, we can. We can make the entrance even larger. Now, that costs money. That's even more money. Now, we know that it's going to be somewhere in between $1 million to $10 million. But the members haven't even approved the blueprint that we have right outside at the moment. That's all we're asking for. So please let us vote for that. And then if we say, hey, yeah, we like what you have here, and we want you to go forward with the $400,000, that's great. But at least give us the opportunity to have that voice. Please. I'm just asking, please. Let us have that voice. Thank you.
Bob Wyant, 3405-197. Have questions and comments. You just heard from a professional architect. The fees are in line. They certainly are. They certainly are. But why are they in line? We just heard Director Gabriel say that we can't begin to have realistic numbers until we have a set of plans to bid. that's equally true. Those are my comments. My question would be, why are we continually putting the cart ahead of the horse? If we owe Mr. Pugh $500,000, pay him. This association pays his bills. Why would we owe him that? If he's done as much work as I've seen already for $88,000, he's way behind and we owe him some more money. Pay him. My question is, why do we keep these iterations going through several boards? I've said it publicly and everything. It's incorrect for the public sentiment to try and lay the mistakes of previous boards at the feet of this board. This board's trying to be objective. Why don't we stop, take a breath, poll the membership? Most of the membership is reasonable. We hear these are intelligent people. Yes, we through whatever circumstances a lot of the membership has, yes, we're not actively involved. Sometimes you got life in the way. I was down the hill raising grandkids that came home and had 3 generations of family under my house, trying to support that while I kept my properties and everything going up here. Sometimes we're absentee owners, sometimes we're misinformed, sometimes we're uninformed. We're never uncaring, Ken. But my question would be, can we stop, take a breath? The membership is reasonable. What is it, $5 million, $3 million, $7 million? Get a number. We don't need continual iterations of these plans that are rejected at $50,000 a piece, $100,000 a piece, $300,000 a piece. We don't need to keep redesigning, to keep rejecting plans. When you design a plan and it's $10 million, the membership says, oh no. Okay, then we stop. And then we come back, we stick our feet in the water again and test the temperature and say, all right, how about $7.5 million? No. All right, well, we'll come back after we spend another $150,000 on a new set of plans, come back, maybe they'll approve $5 million. Why don't we just put it out there? What's it gonna cost? Oh, it's expensive, it's postage, it's everything else. Yeah, so maybe it's 10 grand. I'll donate 1,000, 2,000, whatever. There's probably 5 other people that will.
Yes.
Roland's experienced with GoFundMe's, he could run that for us. Let's find a reasonable number. How about if we put it out to the membership? Would you guys approve $5 million? Yeah, we would. We know it's going to be $2 million to patch this pile. I mean, realistically. It's 50 years old. So's my house, and my house is hemorrhaging cash as well. So it's only natural to assume the clubhouse is gonna. This is commercial construction. This is steel beams. This isn't 2x4s. You know, it's glass. Anybody know what glass costs a square foot? Good Lord. Of course, commercial construction is triple residential construction. And we all know that since the plague, construction costs have literally doubled. It's indisputable, it has. We heard from another professional. I'm an industry professional. These guys, like Jonah, donated, I believe, 3 years to the planning committee to get to this point. We're spinning our wheels, we're wasting a lot of time. Let's put a number out there, see what the membership approves. Then let's give that number to Gwen Pugh and say, Gwen, you got $5 million to work with. He's already worked for $100,000 worth of free time. He can squeeze that $5 million and get the most efficient money out of whatever's approved, be it $3 million, $7 million. We'll fix what needs fixed and we'll expand the heck out of it to try and modernize our community. But let's stop throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars in the trash just to get another no vote. Take those hundreds of thousands of dollars and put them into fixing the bar. Man, that carpet sucks. Thank you.
Just to answer your question about taking a break and not proceeding, is that by doing so, and very good point about previous boards, and I've served on some of them, is that we have delayed this project over the years out of a concern of the cost. And to Philip's point as well, I think there's no other way you can figure out the cost other than continuing to do what we're doing, because if we float out $5 million, hey, you want to pay $5 million to get this clubhouse fixed? Sure, vote yes. Then when we have the work, the documents done and we realize, uh-oh, it's $7 million. Where are we then? So the best thing, and again, this is coming from members, they want to know how much it's going to cost, and the only way to give them that estimate is to continue as we're doing here. When you talk about membership input, and while many of you think that the survey that went out was trash, they were very interesting to read the responses. And in those, 35% of over 1,000 people, 35% said, I'm willing to pay a one-time assessment or increase my assessments. 39% came back and said, that 10.5 is a little bit high. Can you look at cutting down the project? Because, I mean, we support the remodel, but we don't like the numbers. And 26% said no. So when we look at numbers and membership input, to me, that's a pretty strong indication that they want us to continue on and find out what the true cost will be. Any other members?
Let's remember, what year was that survey done?
2023.
Which one?
2022.
1,000 people responding to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1,000?
They are sitting in Todd's office in a stack, and if you're questioning the number, you're wrong.
From the get-go, though, there's so many people that maybe didn't answer the survey, that if we were to actually do a survey that was mailed more appropriately, not putting a 10,000, or 10 million thing to it, I really think the members should actually be surveyed in a way that makes them want to respond rather than making them angry.
And let me just address the surveys, and Jonathan kind of talked to it as well, is that the planning committee for years has, put out these strategic plan surveys. We can't make people complete these surveys. And, 1,000 people, some people say, well, that's a pretty good number. Whether people were happy or not. And so we do try to get these meetings, give that opportunity. When mentioned member opportunity on what happens in this building, there were town halls where people, like some of you, were actually in attendance when these plans were initially proposed, and you gave input. We don't, I never heard the one about the larger front of the building, but it could have happened. And the other one was too, there was a workshop where over 80 members showed up and participated in the review and the design of this building. And so it's not the directors at that time that said, here's our vision, because a lot of people say that. It's our vision. It's really not. The plans have developed from the membership. They've developed from town halls and workshops where you, the members, had that opportunity to give that input. And so I think we're doing whatever we can, but again, I didn't like putting out that 10.5 million, but that was the number we had at the time, and I don't think it was fair to the members to keep it hidden. Some people said you should have never put that out there. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have. But it wasn't fair to keep the members in the dark because that was the current number at the time. And so we put it out there. And we learned from that members thought that was a little expensive. And even though 35% were willing to buy into that, we said we got to reduce this project. We've done so with fiscal responsibility in mind.
Bill, could I ask one more question?
Sure.
Who saw those surveys and verified them and counted them?
Myself, Ellen, and I will say this again, they're sitting in Todd's office right there, and you're more than welcome to come in and take a look.
Thank you. I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, anything, members, a couple more here. The mic's off, Marilyn.
Yeah, related to the fiduciary duty of the board. I will speak louder. The fiduciary duty has to do with maintenance of the place. and that's why you do a budget every year. We are talking about a possible 10 million. That's a capital improvement. Okay.
Yes.
Then
Okay, so let us speak, let us speak.
5% is a special assessment that you have to put up for a vote. That's what David Sterling says.
Yes, that's
Now,
what I
you're
said.
cutting down the project in 3 different phases, I guess, to lower that number and make it palatable to whatever project you like, I would say, because there is a question in the community. A lot of people want everything to be done. They want to beautify this place, etc. Other people don't think it's necessary. So we have a wide range of different opinions. If it's a 5% a special assessment, a 10% of $5 million, that's what is every year, is $500,000. So no matter which way you see it, you want to subvert what is in the law. It's in David Sterling's law.
No,
We're doing
no,
capital improvement with new buildings. We're doing new buildings, and beyond what is in here, we have to put it for the members' vote. There's no way around that.
And let me just address,
Totally on topic here.
I understand that, and we're gonna wrap this up, but the special assessment.
The survey, which many of you believe was trash, one of the very first things was, are you willing to pay a special assessment? And it also said in there that if that was the route proceeded, it would go to a member vote. Because you can't have a special assessment without a member vote. So if that was the way to pay for this all at one time, and members, they will have that opportunity. And it would be my recommendation, we're not there yet, but once these numbers come about and we share them, my personal opinion is there should be a vote for a special assessment to see if members want to do that. It's a lot of money. And again, when we looked at the survey results, even though I said there was 35% that voted or went along the number 1 and 2, I want to say that maybe 19% of the people voted or surveyed that they would be willing to pay the special assessment. It wasn't the majority, but there was 19%, I believe that's the number, that said they want to do it. So if there's a special assessment, there absolutely will be a vote. All right, directors, anything else? Okay, so the motion is to approve the extra money, $150,292, to continue in the project. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. That was Mark opposing, and the rest voted in favor. Motion carries. Sure. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break.
Yes.
HP.
I was just thinking, maybe I can.
There was no way I was going to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think.
You know,
I don't, but you could certainly plug it in. I'm sure I've got loads. Let me just check real quick. So I'm sure I've got loads of power.
Happy for that.
You got, well, you got a whole lot more than.
84, yeah. Give this a whirl.
Yeah, I know. Because it should work
Hey. I know. I just had a discussion about it.
Okay.
I'm trying to be a. She just walked out.
I think she did, 'cause she
Oh. That's a great place for it. See, that's how I feel about
Oh, it didn't? Yeah, sometimes I did.
Okay, we're back.
All right, welcome back. So we are now motion to approve business policy B15, employee contracts.
That's a motion. Is there a second? Second. Second by Ellen. Discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve business policy B17, employee incentive bonus program.
Second by Richard. Discussion?
Never.
Sure, you have something?
How much it's gonna be?
Pardon?
Do we know how much it might be if it's not?
No, it's
Why would
just a
we agree to
procedure.
something that we don't know how much it might be?
It's not money.
I don't think you're going to vote anyway, so, but
That's fine, but what is, doesn't that mean it's employee incentive bonus program, means for employees that are doing a good or exceptional job, or doing paid or given a bonus, isn't that what that means?
It's a business.
Bill, because I think it's a really good policy, but.
Did you want to make a comment on that?
Well,
Well,
my
let me just-
understanding, I
well,
didn't.
If I may,
Yeah.
the only change to this is procedural in the purpose of it. There was no other changes made to it. And again, just the only change that we're approving here is this wording. The purpose of B17 is to establish a policy and procedure. And then we have the existing one that has been in effect before, the methods by which it's doing it, and it goes through an approval process, a review of all submissions, and it's not a blanket incentive.
Okay, but what about the next one, B18, that would.
We're not there yet.
Okay, but, okay.
Directors, any other discussion on B17?
Yeah, so this first one, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is a incentive policy for employees, non-management employees, who find cost savings within the association, and then as a result of their proven cost findings and savings, they would share in a percentage of that savings. And so if somebody figured out a way to save $100,000, I think the board has to vote over a certain amount, but in theory, they would get 10% of that the first year as an incentive for finding that cost savings for us.
Right, and it actually says in there that there's a $250 incentive
Unless
with
it's
a possibility of
approved, yeah.
$500 approved by the board.
Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve business policy B18, implementation of employee raise pool allocations.
Second by Ellen. Discussion?
I have a question. It looked like there was a change made. It appears that previously, direct managers were more involved with what the incentives that their direct employees would get, and it looks like this takes them out of the loop and that the decision is resting now with the GM. I'm assuming there would still be manager input, but does it change the ability for managers to authorize this and move it to the GM?
You know better than I do.
Okay, and what was the question
Speaking to the
again?
mic.
I thought the language appeared to change it from previously, I believe managers were the ones that determined this, and it looks like it switches that to where the general manager determines it, I'm assuming with input from the managers.
Actually, it clarifies, what happens is the allocation is approved by the budget, and that's given to the general manager, who delegates to each department, and then the department manager gets to divvy up whatever that portion is.
Okay, so it read to me like the department manager kind of took in a bit out of that loop, but that's.
They're not out of that loop.
But that's kind of not what this really says. This is a little bit confusing. It looks like the department manager is cut out because it crosses out in blue the department manager, and number 4, it says general manager shall calculate the desired increase per department as allocated. It doesn't say anything about how the department manager will ultimately decide. It's just a little bit, the wording may not be great.
Well,
Actually, no, it's more, it makes it
I
more.
mean, unless I'm reading this wrong.
What it says is it's that the general manager will tell the manager what their allocation pool is. So, right, they'll tell them the dollar amount that they get, the percentage that they get.
read number 5, Phil. It says that the general manager gives that money to the department manager, and then they get to distribute it.
Yeah, but you've crossed out the department manager completely, so it doesn't indicate that the ultimate will go back to the department manager about how much. I think the department manager needs to be back in there somewhere.
I see what you're saying.
Can I say something too?
Sure.
So, I work for a company where we do this pool process, and the way we do it is the management sets how much money is going to be allocated in increases for the entire organization, and then the managers within that organization decide how much they're going to give each employee based on how well they perform throughout the year. So the way I'm reading this is that the general manager has to come through the approval process for how much money he's got for his whole organization. And then each organization will be given a pool of money, and the department manager, as stated in number 5, shall issue each department's employee raise pool allocation for distribution. So then the general manager says how much for the department.
All I'm saying-
And then 4 says, the way I'm reading is the department manager decides how much money goes to each employee.
No, but all
Am I
I'm saying
reading
is
it
that,
that way?
all I'm
Is
saying
that-
is that 3A probably should go under 5.
What 3A is about is not about the allocation of money. It's about performance evaluations, which is another business policy altogether. That's why we removed that portion of it and then added 4 and 5. That's the process that's made, okay? So A was taken out because it talks about performance evaluations and reviews, which is not a part of the budget allocation process.
Okay, so maybe 5A should be department heads will make the decision about how much each person at department gets.
Is that in the other
You can't infer
policy?
stuff. You can't, inferring stuff is dangerous.
No, in policies, you're kind of up here. You're not down in the weeds, you're up here. They have stuff in departments that give the weeds, but this is just a policy of how they allocate the money. The allocation is high level.
Okay, but who decides?
The managers do.
But where is that? Is that someplace else?
Well, number 2 says the general manager will present departmental raised pool allocations to the board for approval of the October executive sessions meeting.
I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that. I want to know, department managers ultimately are responsible for how much each person's going to get, and that's not really spelled out in here.
The general manager and general.
No, department managers don't give that final approval. They
No.
make the recommendation, it's the general manager who then,
For the
based on those
amount.
recommendations, correct.
But for the overall amount, but doesn't the department manager decide how much each person gets inside that department?
Well,
They
They
propose
make a
it.
recommendation. They
They
don't
would
say
make
you
a
will get X.
But the general manager still has the oversight to decide whether or not that's
So-
appropriate for that
So maybe
employee.
5A would say the department manager
makes a recommendation to the general manager about how much each person gets. So maybe-
I don't know. Question, Brad?
So it sounds like we're continuing the practice as it was, which is the general manager in consultation with the managers determines it. The reason I raised the concern is because previously it specifically said department managers will perform employee evaluations and calculate desired pay increases based on performance of individual employee. So that's being stricken, so it implies that that was being done, and we're taking it out because we're not going to do it, and that was my only concern. If we're still have the same procedure.
Yes, we do, and then the evaluations and the reviews is, we're working on right now, is a new business policy that I just sent to Todd to review, which would cover some of this other stuff. This is just about the allocation.
At the highest level.
Performance evaluation and how they determine that is different.
Okay, so if this is just about allocation, fine.
Right, it's to separate the
But it
performance
doesn't-
from the allocations. They're two different things.
All right.
Okay?
All right, got it.
Okay. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes.
Motion to sanction the Speak Easy Theater WAG Club.
Is there a second? Second by Brad. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
Okay, information and correspondence, environmental control recap for the month of June 2023, patrol recap for the month of June 2023. The board sent and received 6 items of correspondence. Directors Forum, Committee Liaison Report, Director McKellen.
I already gave my treasurer's report, but Budget and Finance still needs one more member, maybe 2. They need 2 more members. So if anyone out there has accounting background, it'd be great if you applied for the Budget and Finance Committee.
Director Hudson.
Kern Safe Fire Council, at their meeting in June, they're talking with other fire mitigation communities to identify projects throughout the county to focus on for grant proposals. They did 51 home ignition zone assessments in their pilot project. We were one of them. They are waiting to hear from the USDA on community wildfire defense grant programs to get that started.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm doing mine now.
You're okay.
It's
sorry.
okay. It's okay.
He's giving us a report on Fire Safe Council. Go
Sorry.
ahead, continue.
Thanks, Kim.
You're still
And then
good.
the next meeting of the Fire Safe Council Board of Directors will be July 26, 2003. And I'm sorry, I did my out of order. You want me to just do my next one? Communications Committee. Communications Committee was dark in July, but there was still activity. Chair Jennifer Emmett and myself, Vice Chair, were both elected to this board, so we're no longer eligible to serve as members of the committee. I was appointed liaison to the Communications Committee, so I'll continue involvement in that role. Currently, there's 2 serving members. We have some additional applications, one that's in here and some more that I understand are on the way. But we definitely need more members on that committee, so anybody who's interested, please reach out to the committee or to myself. Todd's been working with the committee closely in several areas, including compiling some examples of other POA, HOA websites so that we can look at as we're looking to improve ours. And also exploring the possibility of converting our electronic Condor newsletter that gets emailed out to a flip page version. He was looking at some services to do that, and Ronnie Wild, our editor, found out that there is an ability to do that through North Star, which we currently use. She's working on some technical glitches, but hopefully that can make that a little bit more user-friendly, and it would allow for embedded links for advertisers and things that might increase the advertising revenue, while minimal still possibility. And then the next meeting is scheduled for August 1st at 6 p.m. by Zoom. And those committees are by Zoom, so if you're interested, you don't have to come in person.
Director Gabriel, Emergency Preparedness.
So emergency preparedness is going through some major changes. We're losing 2 of our main members who've been 15 years plus. So we need more members. I think it looked like we have 1 or 2 new. The main topic of the last conversation was we're trying to establish if you will, like a neighborhood watch using radios that would primarily be used to provide information in case of a fire or an earthquake, that they could communicate with their immediate neighbors. So hopefully we'd have a radio person in each neighborhood, maybe one per block or one per grid. Hopefully 50 or 60 people. The license costs about $35, and the radio, we're thinking about trying to provide some for free, but I think the radios are like $35 to $40. If we could blanket the mountain with those, that would be a good goal. And then at Bill's suggestion, we're looking to try and get volunteers that could be used to go out and help the community in a bad rainstorm or a snowstorm to check on people. So we'd have to have like a list of people that we would need to check on first. I think most of those members would probably be CERT members, because CERT members have certain first aid training that would be useful. So we're still working on that. So we've got projects in the works. This is going to take some time to get them all going. So that's it.
Director Gilbert, Environmental Control. I had my first meeting with them. It was really great and informative. They did approve 3 more solars, and they will be working in August on the charter, reviewing and going over, seeing if there's any changes to their charter. They are also going to then appoint their 3 members we're missing, so then they will do their officers at that time so that everybody gets a chance to be present and vote for that. We already did
I have a
you.
question. It looks as though none of those committee members filled out their application for this year.
They already gave it to them at the meeting, and so it should come back in they were a little bit behind. But I did remind them of that, so they're working on it. Director Ballard, governing documents.
And before you do that, I was just going to add for the EC, again, we've mentioned this before, the EC code has been revised, and we are planning to have a special board meeting, and it looks like it's going to be August 12th as of right now. We'll give you the advance notice, but a special meeting just for the EC code and that business policy, because it's been majorly tweaked. Not a lot of new information, but it's just been reorganized to make it more understandable. But our concern would be, we don't know if we could cover it all in a regular board meeting, so we're going to look at August 12th to do that in the morning. Sorry.
Back to you, Director Ballard.
I've told you over the last, Lord knows how many months, that we've been working on the EC code, and I've told you before that it's been finished, and I lied. We continue to have issues with it. We have finished the code. Right now, we are working on the business policy that accompanies the code, and we believe we'll have that finished at our August meeting, so that we can have everything prepared and ready to go for the August 12th meeting that the chair just referred to. I want to say a little something about that to you right now. The EC code and the business policy have been drastically changed, redone, added to, subtracted from.
Clarified.
There are going to be some very controversial areas of the EC code, and you need to be here. We need to hear your voices. What's happening here is that the EC committee, along with the EC staff and the governing docs committee, prepared this document, and they're bringing it to the board for approval. This document contains some controversial issues, and you need to be able to read it. You need to be able to come and give us your input. We need your input, because this is a document that affects all of us all the time. And so I plead with you that whenever this, if it is August 12th, and that's what we're planning on, that you come and you read the document ahead of time, you listen to the presentation that is made, and you give us your input. We need your input to decide how and what to do. It's extremely important. I can't say it loudly enough that we need the public to be here and give us your input. Aside from that, we discussed business policies that we just approved a few minutes ago, and that's the end of my report.
Will we get a copy of the received report?
That will. Are you going to put that online?
Yeah, we're gonna probably put that on the website, because it's too many pages to post out in the lobby, but, and those of you who get the agenda packets will get those as well, but, we want to put it online, so it'll give you an opportunity to do it. And I believe, will the two version of the code be online, or are you just gonna put in the one that's got the changes? Okay, good. And what Governing Docs has done, specifically John, is broken it down into a 2-column format, the old code and the new code. So as you're scrolling through, you'll be able to compare the two, and like Richard said, there's a lot of information in there, and so, again, if you're prepared to take a look at it, it's very interesting reading.
You can fall asleep pretty easy with that. The side-by-side version is a little confusing, because the old EC code included business policy. And what we tried to do was to take the business policy out of it and make it a separate policy rather than the EC code, which is rules and regulations and guidelines. So you'll find that that's a little confusing when you look at it. But if you look at what we've taken out, we took it and put it somewhere else. So it's not like we deleted a whole lot of items. We just rearranged it. Is that reasonable, John, to say that? Huh?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It seemed like you clarified some things too.
Yeah. We had to clarify a lot of things. That this code was written, I don't know, 3,700 years ago. So we tried to bring it up to date. And I really can't say enough that we need to correct it. Thank you.
Director Lewis, Greens and Grounds.
Greens and Grounds met actually yesterday, and discussions, updates on the dog park, campground, hiking trails, the park, and some other things. They're working at some tree replacement out at Hole 4 by Ferns Lake. There's going to be a Pro-Am golf tournament here in September of 2024. And that means professionals and amateurs coming here, and they're working to put that on in cooperation with the golf club. And 874 rounds of golf were played in June.
Director Bailey, Planning.
Yes, my first meeting with the planning committee, very impressed. Candice was great, as was all the other members. And Candice isn't here, so she gave me some bullet points to read out. The GM is working with staff and the communication committee to determine the needs of the website, and will meet the deadline of January 2024 for a website with an A2. Philip already mentioned that EP is working with Bill on a volunteer task force to respond due to an emergency. Bill already mentioned about the sirens on the water towers. This is easy. The POA is planning a GovDocs town hall to review the new code with the membership once it's finalized, date to be announced. Planning would like to suggest to Peggy Volker a grant writing workshop, not just for PO use, but that will be an upside. The communication committee is doing an amenity spotlight in the Condor each month. And the committee town halls that was due to start in August with budget and finance on August 22nd has been nixed and moved to September with a date to be determined.
Director Acosta,
Water company.
The water company. I had it.
The water company had their annual election last weekend, and the 3 incumbents were elected. The meeting ran smoothly. I hadn't been to a water company meeting in years, but I considered there were quite a few people there that were interested, and they had a lot of good information to give people. And all the terminology they use and all the information came back to me. After all the years I worked there, so I knew exactly what they were talking about. And that's it.
Director Lewis, PMC, CPOA.
I think just the primary things that the village has got going on is coming up is the 50th anniversary on August 13th and Run to the Pines on September 2nd.
And Director Emmett, STR Focus Group.
So for those that are not aware, we've started a STR focus group for managers and STR owners, et cetera. We've, Director Lewis has suggested that we put together, you know, kind of what do we want to do, what is our kind of charter, what is our purpose. So what we started with is to just kind of at least start to brainstorm what are the concerns the community has about short-term rentals. We came up with a list of 14 items of concern. So what we want to do next time is go through that bullet point of 14 items and think about what things could we get the PMC POA board to help us with, or to have the community help us with, and what things can we do as a community within the short-term rental group, of what can we do within our other members to help improve some of these issues that we've seen. And so more to come next month. We meet on the second Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. And I will get that information up on the website so that everybody, if you know, anyone's welcome to attend. It's going to be Zoom.
I must have missed something somewhere along the line. When did this new focus group start? And who are the members, and why do we have it? I mean, pretty much.
Actually, let me help you there. That was going to be in my report today, to appoint this, but we had not yet got the goals for the committee, so I really didn't know that it had met yet. And so we got a little bit ahead of it, but.
And it was just preliminary discussion.
But who's on this group?
It, like I said, it's a preliminary, just preliminary.
But preliminary, but
Reaching out.
you must have met with some people then there so far.
I posted on the short-term rental Facebook page that we've had for 3 or 4 years.
But not everybody's
So,
on
yeah,
that page.
And again, this is just starting up, so.
So there's some logistical things that have to be worked out.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
but I guess my question is, do we really need this? I mean, it seems a lot of the issues are self-evident, and that I don't know if we need to keep
I
discussing
think,
this.
I'll answer your question. I think we'll find out if there's a need for it, based on who participates and how that goes. And again, in my conversations with Jennifer, if this fails or nobody participates, we will stop it. But if
Yep.
it is beneficial and the reports by Jennifer to this board continue, we'll make that evaluation.
As a board member.
Can you speak in the mic?
On this, so this isn't exactly a committee, right?
Correct.
No.
So there's no members, really?
Correct.
No.
And when you said the information was put on an STR site, is that a PMC POA site?
No.
No.
Okay, so I'm a
Right
little.
now, it's not a sanctioned, obviously, it's not sanctioned because we don't have any walking papers. So right now, I'm just getting it started, letting the community know we're working on it, we're going to start it. And where it goes from here, it's going to be morphosizing. We'll see where we
Okay,
go.
it just sounds very ambiguous, and I hadn't heard about it.
It
You
is.
said that you sent out something to us, but I don't remember seeing it.
We talked about it during the member orientation briefly, and I'm not sure what was said or what we discussed, but.
Well,
Well, then let me
nothing
just-
was said about having it. Maybe
Well, no,
somebody
and
said,
again-
why don't we have it?
And again, what I said earlier is that I didn't know, I think she may have just been a little too anxious to get going,
Yeah.
so it was not formally
I'm trying to get
proposed.
people to participate and get involved.
Right.
So that
Okay,
was.
yeah, it sounds
And
like
again,
we
it's
need
a
to.
group,
It
it's not a
sounds,
Now
committee,
it's
not
just a
a task
focus
force.
group.
Okay.
We're going to go by what happened.
Yeah, it just sounds like we need to have some guidelines because it's a board member in charge of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That's where we'll get to.
And did I hear you say this is owners of STRs, managers of STRs?
Managers and owners of
So it's different
STRs.
than what the work we did the other year.
But you just said
Yeah.
anyone can go.
Yeah, anybody's welcome to come
Members.
to the meetings. I'm not going to restrict who shows up.
And it's 100% Zoom?
It's 100% Zoom. So anyone's welcome to attend and listen in, but it's primarily focused on sharing, primarily right now, sharing of information. What things do we see? We obviously know there's a lot of issues, and many of us short-term rental owners would like to see us reinstated. So where could we go to get that reinstated? What do we need to do to get STRs reinstated? I mean, that's kind of the ultimate goal.
So that's the purpose?
loosely stated, yeah.
Yeah, we need to really state that purpose.
Yeah,
Right.
agree.
Yep, absolutely.
That's not
All right.
why I'd go to the meeting.
Ready? Okay. Members' rebuttal forum. Members' rebuttal forum is a 10-minute forum following the director's forum. Members may reply to any matter raised by a director during director's forum. Replies will be limited to 1 minute per speaker. Members wishing to be recognized should step to the microphone, address the board chair, state name, track, and lot number. There may not be an immediate verbal answer from the board to the questions or comments from the members. Members may not yield time to other speakers. Members will refrain from being argumentative and making derogatory or personal remarks or gestures.
Oh.
Almost.
Sorry. Not, it wasn't about you.
It's all good.
We're just getting tired.
Tonight in the village, we have Louis, the violinist. He is at base camp Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Speakeasy Theater, I don't know if Lee is still here, but they are doing a performance both at Artworks and at base camp. I don't have the dates off the top of my head, but I think it's the 21st, 22nd, and then 2 more dates.
29.
Thank you. And those are at 2 different venues, as I said. Something else that is coming up is August 19th. A Saturday, we have the Lost Mountain Players doing side-by-side in the woods in the gazebo. That is put on by Teresa. She's very enthusiastic about it. Gave me the whole download last night, and that will be happening, and it will be posted out today.
Vicki, what was it called?
Oh, the title of the play?
Yeah, what?
It's Side-by-Side in the Woods. And that
Is this like a musical?
Yeah, Saturday, August 19th. Lost Mountain Players. We have been using energizers on single-story homes for 4 years now, in the energizers on windows to prevent bears from accessing low open windows where people need to have their window open all night. They have so far been completely effective. We haven't had any breakdowns. We haven't had any issues with them. These were mostly put on low homes that have only 1 story. So like they don't have a second story to open the windows that bears would have no access to. We are actually at less bear incidents this year than last year at this time, whatever today is, July, helping out people, 15. Thank goodness, but we're catching up rapidly. Again, people need to really be diligent. We had bears in cars this morning. We're averaging about 4 homes a night where bears are jumping into windows and doing things of that nature. Unfortunately, we have bears that literally leap at some of the glass windows and some of the glass sliders. We have bears removing doors. We have bears removing wrought iron doors. I have gone all the way to the top of California Fish and Wildlife, trying to get some sense after we had this new rule passed by California Fish and Wildlife last February. And this was at the suggestion of the lieutenant, and he referred me to who to go over his head for. Thankfully, he's now in the Fresno office, so we might get a little bit leeway, hopefully soon, on some of our bear issues. We have 4 bears that are down in Lake of the Woods that are going between Lake of the Woods and Fraser Park, also breaking into homes there, and it's far more concerning there because they have less money and less ability to even be prepared for bears coming in. Vehicles, come on people, we've had over 100 vehicles unlocked that bears have opened the doors on and went into the car. I cannot emphasize enough. Put an alarm on your phone right now to click your car alarm, double check your cars, whatever, at night so that you're making sure that your car doors are locked. I know accidents happen, but it's ridiculous how many bear incidents we're having. Keep in mind that over 1,000 homes in Pine Mountain Club have never had any bear damage. They don't have bears coming to their lot every single day, or even once a week, or even once a month. If you drive by my house, you'll see the whole 1/4 inch of yellow pollen. You're welcome to come and look at my pollen footprints. The only thing I have up there right now is a raccoon and my jade feet and friends that have come over. Other than that, no bears. It's one of the easiest ways to tell if you have a visiting bear is to leave your pollen, especially during the month of June. And, you know, the first part of July, it'll stay there. I mean, you come down Woodland, you can see the whole yellow thing on my deck. It's kind of colorful, I think it's against the color guidelines, but, you know. It looks the allergy guidelines. Again, I really emphasize people signing up to do things, both with committees and all the volunteering we need in the village. We have a lot of village events that are happening where we need a lot of volunteers to help with all the various things. We will be doing an open mic night for the 50th anniversary of the village, and that will happen from 1 to 4. And I'll be taking signups if people want to sign up to, you know, play the open mic. It'll all be scheduled and things of that nature. Anyways, that's it. You know, the bear thing drives me crazy at this point.
We didn't know that. We didn't know that. Okay.
Real quickly, there is twice a month farmer's market that goes on at the
First and third.
over there. It's happening this Sunday.
I thought it was weekly now.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was weekly, not weekly.
No,
It's the first and third.
It's the first and third Sunday of the month.
Yeah, and that wasn't mentioned today, so I tossed that out there.
Mike? Oh, hang on.
My name's Pete Lewis. I don't know where I live. Over there. I'm the lead for the Remnant Pines Car Show. I encourage anybody who has a car or knows anybody who has a car, please go to the website and sign up. We had a horrible registration problem this year. Last year this time, prior to the car show, same amount of weeks. We had more than 15 cars. This year we have 6. Free t-shirt. If you sign up before August 2nd. The problem's gonna be is if we get to the week of August, we still have 6 cars, it's over. We can't do it. We got Tim who helps run the Sunday market at the gazebo. He's doing a great job. He's got a lot of vendors, a lot of suppliers, food guys lined up. Again, it's not gonna happen unless we can get more cars. So please, encourage anybody, go to the website. It's easy to sign up. It's reasonable. Any help's appreciated.
Will you do me a favor and just send Todd just like a very
Brief email that we could send to the members. Well, here's what I'm saying. And we'll include the, your flyer, but I mean, put this out about the low turnout, and again, as a reference for, you know, because we all have cars, by the way, so I don't know if we're all going to be going down and registering. But I think you're looking for something a little special. But a very brief email at Blast, putting it out, and other people who know people will share that. So let's get the information out. I know it has, but it's just like surveys. It's just like surveys. You can put it out there, doesn't mean people are going to participate.
Hey, Todd, have you started the new email address yet?
No, not totally, no, I haven't,
Okay.
not yet.
One thing, just a comment. I see a real big division between the board and a lot of the members now. And something happened this past week that really got my goat. And it was in regards to the email that went out regarding the spa. And I don't know which employee sent it out. I don't know if Todd or you reviewed it, but the email basically stated that the problem with the spa was related to shampoo and I believe bubble bath being, you know, getting into it, okay? And then we get an email from Todd, and this is when and I'll tell you another thing. When I went into Todd's office to talk with him about it, I was berated by 2 of your employees for saying, is the spa ever gonna get fixed? And the reply that I got back from them was, well, if people didn't go in there with shampoo and with bubble bath, this problem wouldn't happen, okay? Then we find out the problem was not that, it was the fact that the pump was bad, okay? The reason why there's a lot of disdain between the board and their members is because a lot of the members don't trust them. That's a good example of why we don't trust a lot of the board or some of the PMC employees. And I'm not saying it's all the
You know what, wait
employees.
a minute, that's a little inflammatory, I don't really appreciate that.
Well, no,
Actually,
no,
that,
no,
and I think you're attacking us, and it,
First
this
of
is
all,
not, it's
I'm-
not
First
appropriate.
of all, I'm not attacking anybody.
You are.
Okay, you're
You're saying,
interrupting me.
no,
I
you're
didn't
saying
ask
members
you.
don't
Okay,
trust
hold
us.
on, Mike,
It's not
Mike,
appropriate.
Mike, Philip.
It's
not appropriate.
It is appropriate.
All right, you've got a minute, so let's
Okay.
finish up.
This is why, in my opinion, there's a lot of problems between the board, some of the employees of the PMC POA, is because they don't trust them, okay? When we get berated by your employees, okay, and email blasts go out, I don't know if you reviewed that email or not, but that should have never gone out. Because your next email came out and said it was a problem with the pump, okay? That's what causes disdain between the members and the board and the people working in the POA. Please start reviewing, just a request, please start reviewing all emails that come out from your employees before they go out. That email should have never gone out. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
There's a pattern here. Just a quick follow-up on what Vicki said about bears. Fish and Wildlife spoke with them yesterday, and Kern County has the highest number of black bear incidents within the whole state. And within Kern County, Pine Mountain is the hotspot within for all the bears. So the whole state and Pine Mountain, there's a clash that's going on with the bears. So please, any bear property damage, injury damage to your home, property, car, person, animal, please file that WIR, which is the Wildlife Incident Report. Please file that. Without statistics, there is no response or help from them. They're actively working here, tagging bears and things like that, but without people reporting it, we don't get the resources that are needed. Telling your neighbor, telling Facebook is fine, but you have to let the agency know that's responsible to get resources. Thank you, thank you.
And I'll put up the plug-in for you, because I thought you might have said this, is that again, for all those you concerned about the CHP service up here, they'll be here at 1 o'clock. With donuts. Can't beat that. All right, here we go.
Adjournment. In the June 17th, 2023 executive session, the following was discussed. Litigation, potential litigation 2, contracts 6, forbearance agreements 1, foreclosure requests 0, hearings 0, personnel 1. The next regular open board meeting will take place on August 19th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in the Condor Room. Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Carolyn, seconded by Jennifer. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here.